Hello, my name is Garrett Maxon. I am with dragonscripting.com. Today we're going to do a tutorial on if and then statements, if then statements. Um, what this is going to do is it's going to give us the ability to create kind of a crossroads in our command. If we have a command that's running and a variable goes one direction, we want the command to follow that direction, we can split off and have them make a decision on which way to go, or which way we want the command to run to. And we're going to start off making our command. I already pre-made this. It's an advanced scripting command. And we're going to start with a variable. And in this variable, we are going to define that x is equal to 1. X is going to be our variable, and then 1 is going to be our value. If you notice, I took away the quotes. 1 is going to be a number. It's an integer that we're going to put into this. Let's put another function here is numeric. We're going to check to make sure that whatever we're putting into x is going to be a 1, and that'll be important later. And then just to make a message box just to show us that we are checking this, and then the number check is going to check to see if x is equal to a 1, and then this is going to give us a true or false, stating if the whatever we put in the value, if that is actually a number. So what we started with is that we have an x is equal to 1. Come down here, we make our if statement. This is the whole thing. And it's going to say if x is equal to 1, and if number checker says that the value that we entered is a number, then and that's true, then go ahead and carry out this next step of the command. Now, if any of these things are not correct, if x is not equal to 1 and number tracker is false, it's going to come down and it's going to look at the rest of these things. So else if it's not this, but this is what else it could be, if else is equal, or else if x is greater than 1 and it's also an integer or a number, then carry out this set of instructions, which is this message box saying that it's greater than. This is the greater than operator here. And then if that's not true either, and then else if x is less than 1, this is a less than operator, and it's also a number, then say that x is less than 1. And then else, and this is kind of our catch-all statement. If none of this works in here, and we still want it to do something, we can use else, and it will say something went wrong, and then we can figure out what's going wrong. Why didn't it choose any of these options? If we didn't want it to choose any of these options and we just wanted to pass it by, we would take out the else, and it would just skip over there if none of these applied. And move on to another option, basically, at that sense. But it's nice to have these in here so you know that your command's working. You want your command to pick one of these directions and not just skip over it, so that you know that the variables has the proper data type into it, or if it has the right value that you're looking for it to have, and then go on a controlled next step. And that's why we have this, is that if it's not something that we know is going on, then it'll tell us. It'll say, hey, something's wrong with the command, go back, look at it again. And then we finish up the else if with end if, and that will finish off this whole statement here. So if we go back and run this, we're not going to call the command, we'll just play it from in here. And right now x is equal to 1. So we're going to see that it's going to go true. So it goes through here first, is numeric, so x gets replaced by this 1, and that's true. So number check gets a value of true, and the message box tells us that. So that's this right here. So it's true, and then so it's true, and then x is equal to 1, and number check is true, so it's going to run the first one, and that's x is equal to 1. So now if we make x equal to something greater than 1, again it's going to go number check first. It is a number, and then it's going to tell us x is greater than 1. So because x is greater than 1 and the number check is true, so the message box x is greater than, well, that's off. There we go. Okay, and so that will apply to any number that we choose at that point. It's true, and then it is greater than 1, and then we can go back and we can say 0. And then that is going to go through, and it's still a number, but it's less than 1. So x is less than 1 now. So that's this else if. It skips over these ones, but it still stays in here because we're looking to evaluate it. So what about if it's not a number? If we change this to hello world, and this is actually a string at this point. It's not a number. So somehow our code got messed up and a string got inputted into this variable or any set of commands before it, or set of instructions before it, and it gets to this point and we're expecting this to be a number and we number check it, but it turns out it has an unexpected value that we didn't think was going to be there. So if we play this, it says, oh, it's not a number. We're checking the number and it says, nope, that's a string, that's not a number, so it's going to label this as false. So now it's false. So now it doesn't meet this and number check equals true. It's false. So there's something else going on. So it's going to fail this one, it's going to fail this one, it's going to fail this one. So it's going to be picked up by the else statement at the end saying, hey, something's wrong with your code. You know, you might want, this is where it went wrong. You can even mark it as a module, so you can say number check failure, and we can say like section 1 or something like that. And section 1. So now we go back and look at it, and we have a command that's 800 lines long. We can see, okay, well, actually the number check failed here, and section 1 we can go back and we can know exactly where it's failing at, and we can change it at that point. So this is just going back looking at if then. There's also other ones. There's if functions, and another point too is you can also put if statements within if statements, and it'll read them the same way. So you can even further define where you want to go, or how specific you want to get with what information is being brought to you. You can also use goto in these, which we'll go through in later tutorials. That you can make it go to another section completely. There's all kinds of stuff you can put within these, but this is basically where you start. One of the first ways you start making decisions inside of a command. So my name is Garrett. Thank you very much for listening. I work for dragonscripting.com.